Fauxcahontas is on the warpath this evening. For decades, as you know, the senator from Massachusetts, Elizabeth Warren, has claimed to be an American Indian. Now, she did this to advance her career, and it worked. Harvard Law School once boasted that Warren was the first woman of color to ever serve on their faculty. Woman of color. But Warren also used her fake Indian heritage to frame herself as somebody affected by America's sad history of racial discrimination. Warren posed as a victim because on the left, victimhood is power. Watch her do it.
My father's parents said, absolutely not. You can't marry her because she's part Cherokee and she's part Delaware. And after fighting it as long as they could, my parents went off, they eloped. So what I know about my parents is I know that in that little town they grew up in, that my father's parents knew enough about my mother and her family.
Assume then that that's the fact, that you're 1/32nd.
No, that doesn't tell you. Don't do that.
Well, why shouldn't I do that? But that is the fact,
no,
is it not?
No, it is not.
Why not?
It's not about the number.
Her own trail of tears. Well, as it turned out, old Hiawatha couldn't come up with a single, not one American Indian in her family tree. The rest of the country laughed at her, and rightly so. And then this morning, Warren hit back at the rest of us. Out of nowhere, she produced a private DNA test that she claims confirms her story. Along with it, of course, she released a video that doubles as an ad for her presidential campaign. Here it is.
Now, the president likes to call my mom a liar. What do the facts say?
The facts suggest that you absolutely have a Native American ancestor in your pedigree.
I'm not enrolled in a tribe, and only tribes determine tribal citizenship. I understand and respect that distinction, but my family history is my family history.
Well, so the senator concedes that she's not, quote, enrolled in a tribe. You may have guessed that. That fact is settled in any case. But what do the test results that she's produced actually say? Well, according to Warren, she may have had one unnamed and still unidentified Indian ancestor, not necessarily from North America, by the way, 8 or so generations ago, potentially. Now, that could make her less than 1/1000th American Indian. That's about roughly as American Indian as virtually every white person you've ever met, which is to say, not American Indian at all. So don't count on running into Elizabeth Warren at the next meeting of the tribes. But do count on her to keep pretending that she's somehow the spokeswoman for indigenous peoples everywhere. Warren has appointed herself head of the #MeSue movement.
Native communities have faced discrimination, neglect, and violence for generations. And Trump can say whatever he wants about me. But mocking Native Americans or any group in order to try to get at me, that's not what America stands for.
Now, hold on a minute. Who's mocking Native Americans? Well, if anyone's doing that, it's Elizabeth Warren. She's the one who's stolen their identity and leveraged their suffering to climb the greasy pole of our fake meritocracy. No High Plains whiskey trader ever acted with more ruthless cynicism than she has. And actual Indians are disgusted by it. The Cherokee Nation just this afternoon released a statement. They called Warren's claims inappropriate and wrong. Quote, it makes a mockery out of DNA test and its legitimate uses, while also dishonoring legitimate tribal governments and their citizens. In other words, it's bad for Indians. So it looks like that backfired. But DNA tests aren't really the point, and we should remember that. It doesn't matter if Fauxcahontas is 1% Indian or 90% Indian. DNA should never matter, except to physicians treating inherited illnesses. Your bloodline should not dictate who you vote for, what job you get, where your kids go to school, whether you get promoted, or anything else. A ruling class sends the opposite message. They believe in a racial spoils system. They tell you that your immutable traits, the ones that you had absolutely nothing to do with, are the most important thing about you. That is the very definition of racism. It's also a dangerous course for a country to take, especially right now. Increasingly, researchers know much more about DNA and the role that it plays in human life. It's not hard at all to imagine a society that degenerates into pure genetic determinism, with factions squabbling for entitlements based on their genes. That's already happening in Brazil, where race tribunals measure people's skull shapes to see if they qualify for affirmative action. Other countries throughout history, as you may have read, have done similar and horrifying things. Do you want to live in a place like that? No thanks. Better to stick to our ideals, where we do our best, not always successfully, but we try to treat people as individuals and judge them by their behavior, what they do, and not their ancestry. Under that system, Fraudazuma never would have bothered to make up a fake family tree. It would have been pointless. Harvard likely would have hired someone impressive in her place. Multiply that by every institution in America, and you'd have a better country. Now, Elizabeth Warren's video today included ample footage of news personalities ridiculing her claims about her heritage. Here it is.
What does Warren translate into Cherokee as? Spreading bull?
You know Elizabeth Warren, right?
Most people.
Radio host Howie Carr was making war whoops in that clip, and he joins us tonight to make more. Howie, it's great to see you. So what do you make? I mean, you must feel a little chastened now that it turns out she's potentially one 1,000th American Indian. Are you retracting your mockery?
No, Tucker, if the Boston Globe was a legitimate news organization, the headline on the story would be something like DNA test prove white woman. Or, DNA test confirms Senator Warren is still a fake Indian. I mean, this is ridiculous. All my life, Tucker, the Globe has been running a story every 6th year saying Senator Kennedy is turning his life around. Well, Senator Kennedy's gone, so now Elizabeth Warren is turning her life around. And they're trying to promote her. Last month they had an amazing story about how her ethnic fraud, claiming to be an American Indian, did not affect her meteoric rise in academia after she started checking the box. That didn't work. So now they're back with this today.
Now, let me
and by
just
the
ask
way,
you,
Tucker,
as the only person